Right, we're back here, and of course, Kenny just gave us the business report for today. But just before we went on that break, I was talking about the International Day for Women and Girls in Science. Of course, the International Day this year comes with the theme Women Scientists at the Forefront of the Fight Against COVID 19. And of course, we're looking at the outbreak of COVID 19 pandemic, which has clearly demonstrated a critical role of women researchers in different stages of the fight against COVID-19. I was listening to a TV, show yesterday done by Tyler Perry, and he was talking to one of the women scientists in the United States, and it was actually said that the woman who came up with the concept of the vaccine, the research work that was used to develop the vaccine for Ebola. When I heard it was a woman, give me, some good vibes. So another woman was involved in the critical work that was done to come up with a vaccine for SARS. So all of this, gives me good vibes when you think about it. Women are making so much impact. But what about the opportunities there? What are the challenges? And that's why we have our dearest engineer, Fumi Akingbago, who's still here with us this morning. Engineer Fumi, good to still have you here. Thank you for giving us your time.
Thank you.
Let me begin by saying that the 2021 celebration of International Day for Women and Girls in Science, something that should be picked up by government and should be encouraged by government. You've been in the field for so long. How much government support have you seen given to girls who are interested in this field?
I must say that government is doing quite a lot, but what I'll say is that we need to do more, especially for girls in science. Some couple of years, the Association of Professional Women Engineers of Nigeria actually took it upon themselves to say, oh, we want to go all through the country and see how we can give scholarships to girls and how they can, we can encourage them to actually study engineering. Quite a number of programs came up, take a girl to work as an engineer so that they will actually see what you are doing as an engineer and become interested. And then we were actually going to the schools to actually talk to quite a number of the girls in school to say, mathematics is not difficult. It's about the easiest course you can take, because when you write English or literature, whatever you write is how your professor or your teacher interprets it. But mathematics is very straightforward. It's either 1 + 1 is 2 or 1 + 1 is not 2. So it's very direct. So we had to, encourage them. I remember when we had the statistics for girls, and we saw that quite a number of girls weren't going into engineering, and we took it upon ourselves to go from secondary school to secondary school. And let me quickly share an experience with you. We went to MMA Secondary School, that is Muritala Mohammed Airport Secondary School, to talk to the girls there. I haven't spoken with them. About 4 years after I had opportunity of speaking at ATBU Bauchi. Okay. You can see the distance between Ikeja and Bauchi. And I was speaking to the engineering student, and one of the girls, just got up and said, "Madam, I know you." I said, "Where?" He said, when I was in MMA, you are the one that encouraged me to study engineering. I was very, very happy, because that means that whatever seed we sowed at that time actually reaped something. And she was able to study engineering. We were able to encourage her, be role models to her, and also encourage her to get a job somewhere. And quite a number of females are doing very well, but we just need to do more. We have increased the percentage a bit in girls that want to study engineering. I know that the exercise we performed 2 years ago, going into the River Rhine, we had to go on boats, we had to go on the sea to actually go to those interlands to talk to the girls, to give them experiments, to give them, simple experiment that we were playing with when we were younger. When we were younger, we used to have kites. We used to do it with nylon, and then you put the brooms and all that. That is science. And but now we don't have quite a number of people doing that. We the 10-10 that we even used to play. You jump from, you have the cubes and then you jump. It's engineering. But a lot of people don't interpret them, as engineering. But they're actually engineering, and it's just to open them up and begin to talk to them to or especially even the teachers. We had programs that had to do with teachers, so that they understand that sciences shouldn't be made difficult for the children in secondary school. You have to make it interesting for them. You have to make it practical for them to be able to understand that science is not difficult. It's about the simplest thing you can do. When you put two things together and it works, you are happy to see it work, and it's engineering. But when you are talking history is you begin to imagine them, but when you put them together, it's physical. You can see them work, and when you say when it's moving is engineering. When the lights are on is engineering, because it's the ball.
But how is it that women get encouraged? You mentioned riverine areas, and I'm just imagining if the people in the cities go through the kind of challenges that we're going to discuss, to thrive in this field. How do you expect the people in the riverine to survive? Those are the areas where they even talk about riverine, the extreme villages. Those are the areas where they expect a girl, the only dream you should have is to get to a particular level in education, maybe a little bit above JSS1, and then get pregnant or just get married. As a matter of fact, from the day she leaves primary school, they're already looking for potential husbands. The moment she begins to have breasts and features that are fanciful for men, they begin to look for a husband for her. Those are the kind of things you hear in the villages and the riverine areas. How then do you now expect these women to come into?
One of the areas wherein government can do quite a number of things is, thank God we have Ministry of Women Affairs. They should partner with professional bodies in terms of women professional bodies to be able to, encourage most of these girls. Most of these girls, we had an experience in Abeokuta, that was 2 years ago. The Oba was also there. We had quite a number of people there. And the children performed the experiment. And the girl that came first in the experiment, who was actually given scholarship because we had partnered with government organization to actually do that, an orphan girl. She didn't even have shoes. And we were all actually weeping because it's good to encourage some of them to actually, go into sciences. We need to take the campaign to the villages, to the riverine areas, to actually move forward. And I feel that the Ministry of Women Affairs will be doing a lot in this area in terms of government intervention.
Coming back to the discussion at hand, International Day for Women and Girls in Science, our focus this morning is on the opportunities and the challenges that actually are inherent there. Let's discuss challenges, Engineer Femi. I can imagine, I was sharing with you that I had a friend who went into building. She studied building. She was the only girl. She was also the only girl in building. And I was wondering then, why would they have a course in the university called building? It was just something that I couldn't fathom. And then I had another one who went into, her name was Rotimi. I think who came with the name. She too studied civil engineering. I'm like, Rotimi, why would you go to, those are there are some jobs that are expected for women. Unfortunately, engineering is not one of them because of the kind of society that we have. And then at the end of the day, when a woman develops the interest, what are the likely challenges she's going to come across? Right from secondary school, since you've gone through all the stages, and now you've become president, chairperson, chairman, you've done practically everything that everyone who wants to go into this field wants to do. What are the challenges from that small level of a secondary school girl, university, and then graduating like that?
Being a professional.
I must say that the challenges have reduced over time because of the awareness and because of what professional bodies are doing to encourage women. But actually the challenges still remain. You have quite a number of the mentality that women can do as much as the men can do, especially in engineering, because it's more of a physical profession than a mental one. But the women are doing quite a lot. But the challenges are basically the male factor. Initially I thought it was a Nigerian thing, an African thing. So I went to the US some time ago to deliver a lecture on moving out of the shadows, excelling in a male-dominated field. And by the time I finished the paper, I had people from China, from different countries at that conference coming to say, Madam, you actually spoke to us, which means that it cut across all over the world, that we have challenges as female. When you are in a male-dominated field, they see you as as lesser to them, and so you must have to put in an extra energy to prove that you can do it, which makes it a lot more difficult, because when you have the normal male in the field doing their thing, they see themselves as contemporaries, but when they see the woman there, they see you like you are infiltrating our territory. And so in that wise, you need to go the extra mile to prove yourself. And so that factor is there. I'd had somebody challenge me before to say, see, madam, how can you be chairman? I have somebody like you at home. I said, so you can't have somebody like me at home. You have your wife at home.
Yeah.
I'm an engineer, you're an engineer. I had the 2-1, you had the 2-2. And so we are colleagues, professional colleagues. You can't say you have somebody like me at home. And that is some of the mentality. Apart from the physical one that you have to prove yourself that you can do what they can do, the mentality is also there that you're a woman. You're supposed to be in the kitchen. I have you at home, cooking for me, taking care of the kids. So you must be able to prove yourself, that you can do all those things all together, that you are a total woman, for you to be able to manage your home, for you to be able to, manage your children, and for you also to be able to manage the profession.
Okay, let's leave. Okay, we know that we have the masculine challenge, from the masculine world and all that. Let's look at the challenge of physical strength. How has it fared? How have
Women
you
fared.
and other women cope with when you have to do things that requires the strength of a male? How do you go about it?
Thank you very much. There are several ways to go about them because, of course, you need to move some equipment. You need cranes. You can use cranes. You can use other tools to actually move some of those things. And then as you grow in the profession, you have, technicians working under you. You have artisans working under you that could actually move some of those things, as you go in the profession. But actually, take for instance, you want to work on a generator and you need to move something that is very, very heavy. Of course, as a woman, you can't move that. You probably use a crane to do that. Even men will actually use cranes to do some of those things. So, physical strength, it's not like before in engineering.
Technology has taken
its place. Innovations, different things have come up to, to actually make a difference in some of this.
And of course, it's still the bumper breakfast. So we're still talking about women engineers and engineer Funmi Akingbabumi, still very much here with us. I think Kenny was just about to ask a question when we went to that abrupt break. And she was just talking about some of the other challenges with strength, when it has to do with strength. Physical strength is one of the things that men claim is a problem. When it comes to pounding yam, they don't mind.
Technology has overridden pounding yam anyway. You now have yam pounders that will,
give you the same thing your mortar is going to give you.
No, my father-in-law will always tell you that your sweat is not inside it.
It's the sweat that makes it sweeter.
Do you know that just deviating a little bit? Do you know that some few days ago I ate a pounded yam, as in mortar pounded yam, and I asked myself, when last did I eat this thing? Maybe about over 5 years ago, and for me, it now felt like I even prefer the process than this, probably because over the time.
You've been buying the sachet one.
I've been doing the process there.
Unfortunately, it's only when I'm really busy I buy the sachet one. I just love the pounding parts.
No.
There are several machines that do that
Yeah,
now.
made life. So it's though I'm not a swallow person,
I know.
I do it once in a very blue moon.
You're a beans person.
So what I was trying to say before we went on that break was that yes, good enough. The likes of you had gone, you've gotten up the ladder and you're here. Now, some girls are still coming up. You mentioned something about, yes, when you have gotten to, a certain level, you have, the pressure is lesser, as the strength required is lesser. Now, talking to girls, that are just coming up, and they are facing the challenge of the physical strength and any other challenge that is related to the field. What advice would you give to them?
For me,
talking from your own experience.
For my own experience, for girls, for me, I use the SMART principle.
Okay.
And that means you have to be specific if you actually want to be an engineer,
okay.
Because it takes a lot of passion, it takes a lot of determination. And so as a girl, you have to be specific that, oh, I actually want to study engineering, so that you can go through with the process. You have to measure whatever you do, as you go in your career. You have to eat your elephant as a young girl and say, oh, this thing is bigger than me, but I want to surmount it. I remember when I was in school, in engineering, you have to do the IT in in industries and all that. I remember one industry where I was doing the IT, and I needed to weld for like a week, some parts together and things like that. So I haven't gone through the experience. I discovered I had issues with my eyes, so I went to the optician, and I discovered that the fumes from the particles from the welding gas was already in my eyes, so they had to wash, bring out the particles and all that. And so those are some of the challenges that can come with it, but you must be determined that you actually want to do it.
And this challenge, like this one you just mentioned, is not limited to women.
It's not limited to women. It will happen to men. So
yes.
it's not a male thing. It's a professional thing. So many things I'd been in an industry where I saw somebody wearing long sleeve the way I'm wearing long sleeve this morning, and the machine just caught up with the long sleeve before they could pull it out. The hand was already in the machine and things like that. So those hazards will always be there. But as a female, as a male or whatever, the profession, it's a physical one. You need to be careful. Safety must come first with them, but you must want to do it.
No,
you must have the confidence.
You must be determined.
You must be determined that you want to study engineering. You must build the confidence in yourself that you want to study engineering. You must look at the role models that are in front of you and say, see, I want to actually study engineering.
Okay, let's leave engineering now. We're talking about sciences generally, and when we talk about sciences, we're also talking about the medical field and all whatnot. And we find ladies, climbing up the ladder, even in medical fields today. But I want to look at fields like the medical fields, where when it's a male, a male doctor, and you have a family, you call the shots. So as a lady, you get, as in medicine, the higher you go, the more challenging it becomes. In medicine, what would you say to ladies that are up there? They have to cope with the family, they have to cope with being out of the family environment for days. Now we have COVID-19. You hear some of them say that I've not been home for 2 weeks. I even know somebody that he would say his wife has not been home for like 2 weeks and he's not finding it funny and blah 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 blah. So what would you say to them?
My brother is a medical doctor and the wife is also a medical doctor. And the wife is also very high up there now. She struggled, just the way we all started together. And she's a deputy medical director for for an hospital now. And a lot of the time she's not also home, and I'd partner with her for some, advocacy programs at some point. But one of the things that is very key is that you must love what you do.
Passion.
And you must love your home. Those two things are very key. As a woman, whether you're successful or you are climbing the ladder, you need to love your home. You need to be submissive to your husband. You need to agree together on the plan that you want to have as a woman. Because you must carry the partner along. It's a journey, and you must also carry your children along. Anytime I want to go for for another position, and I want to contest for it, my husband will sit down, my children will sit down, we'll talk about it. I want to go for this. Should I go? Should I not go? And they say, okay, what is it going to entail? Is it going to take you away from home? Are you going to travel? Okay, all right, then we'll manage. So it must be an understanding thing from your home, and you must love your own that much to be able to sacrifice some things. There are some times that the sacrifice will come in terms of the profession, and you must look away for some activities at some point and say, these 2, 3, 4 activities, I'm not going to go, I want to go home. And then there are sometimes you look at home and you say, oh, I need to go do this. So you must be able to have a scale of preference and a balance of, oh, how do I want to manage it? Your home must see that you are sacrificing for the for the profession, and that you love them. The profession must see that you love your home. Because I must tell you, when it comes to women, a lot of the men, when you want to hold position, a lot of them want to look at your home and say, oh, does she really have a home?
Because they expect that you can't even be vying for this position if you have a home.
So they want to attack you from that end. So as a woman, you must be able to have a work-life balance that brings everything together, and you must be able to, in my house we call it family conference. You must be able to hold that family conference. Oftentimes, integrate them into what you are doing and let them buy into your vision.
Which brings me to still talking to girls. Opportunities, that some things that I'd like us to end with, but still talking challenges, because that's what chases a lot of people from their passion and their profession and their dreams in life. You talked about family conference. Now you have a lot of young girls in the university or having these big dreams and wanting to get to the point where they come out, they get a good job, or they get somewhere and then they get married. What are those things that a working scientist, a working engineer, a working woman should watch out for in the partner they would marry, so that this round conference you're talking about can work?
One of the things, for me, I say marriage is a black market. It's a black market. The person you see that you are dating, you have never lived with that person before. The person you see every day, you go out, maybe you go out together, it's probably going to be different from when it puts you actually in the house. So one of the things that I know that a lot of ladies don't take note of is that they are not practical in their dating. You need to be practical in your dating. Listen to the conversation. Read between the lines. What is he saying? What is he not saying? Because
what is he saying? What is he saying? But what does it actually mean?
What does it actually mean?
That's the reading between the lines. My friend would say above the line and below the line.
At some point, I was dating also a mechanical engineer like myself when I was in the institution, and when we sit down to talk, and then he says, I don't really want my wife to work. I just want her to take care of my children. I say, this one chance. So I have to quickly, move on with my life, and then, So, but a lot of the times, the young girls, either they are in a hurry to get married. One shouldn't be in a hurry to get married. You should do it well. Whatever you want to do, you must do well. And so you need to listen to the conversation well. Don't allow, is it love now?
Yeah, they call
is it lost? Yeah, I don't know the word.
They call it one of the two.
Is it eagerness? One needs to be very careful. And because marriage is a certificate that you get before you go through the educational system. It's a certificate that you get, in education. You go through the education, you do the examinations, and then you get your certificate. Marriage is the one that you get the certificate before you go into the education. So you must put all those things into consideration before you before you get the certificate. But a lot of people just look at, I go to in-law. I need to go into this very quickly. You must go into it with your two eyes open, not with love is blind. With your two eyes open, and that is why when you hold conversation with whoever your partner is, you discuss all those things before you even go into the marriage. You have discussed your pros and cons. Not when you get into the problem, you now want to solve it, then it now becomes difficult. And then one of the things that is very key, and that is why that conversation is important, is that you don't allow a third party into your marriage. The two of you must sit down and sort it out. This is the way we want to do it. You are going to sacrifice at this time. I will sacrifice at this time. It's a two-way thing, and then you enjoy your marriage.
Interesting. We're talking about opportunities next, and this conversation will lead me to saying that one of the fears of most parents when they ask their girls to look for a job. I know a young woman, she's in her 50s now. She said to me one day that her father never trained any of the children in higher institution. As far as it was concerned, NCA is the best that you can do. Every woman should just be a teacher, and every other job is for the man. And that, had formed a barrier, put a bar on whatever they can achieve in life, because that bar was already set by their father, who came with that kind of mindset. For every young girl who wants to go into these opportunities in this life, the fear of every parent is, do they employ the girls? When you go to, what's the statistics like? A girl applies for a job.
Say what's
5
the opportunity?
Female. No, like you have 5 female in the midst of 25 male that apply for a job. Who gets the job? Is there the preference there?
It's one of the advocacy things that we do as professional women engineers, that we go to organizations, and the organizations, I must commend most Nigerian organizations now, that they are actually, taking women. They give like a statistics to them and say, okay, give us your list. So one of the things we have done as professional women is to have a list of women that are looking for jobs, young girls that are looking for jobs. And then one of the things that most of the young girls can do, and that's why we go to the tertiary institutions to speak to them, we go to the secondary schools to speak to them, is have a role model. If you have a role model, I put a lot of people to say, I've finished, I'm their role model, I'm their mentor. Okay, go and meet so I give you a note to, was it last year? I had reason to go and do the assessment of a university for their revalidation of their engineering certificate to teach engineering. And one of the lecturers came and said, this girl, they didn't take her anywhere for industrial training, and they are saying she's female, and the girl was studying civil engineering. Immediately I took it up, I attached her somewhere. She actually had a greater experience than most of the men, because she had the opportunity of going to supervise the building and work with people working on a building in Banana Island that has a very soil challenge. So anybody that does a building there will gain quite a number of experience. Because her dad even had to come with her to say nobody wants to tell her. I said no, she's going to get something. So even as girls, you need to begin to have role models. You look at them. Who do you want to mentor you if you actually want to study engineering? Because the challenges are there. They're in every profession. All you need to do, there are no jobs anywhere, and some of them, I encourage them entrepreneurship.
How?
For engineering is about the easiest, because you can produce things with your hands.
Really?
Yeah. During the COVID challenge, I threw a challenge out. I said, see, go and produce things that can solve problems of the COVID-19. And some young children, young graduates, they just graduated their youth service, a female and maybe a male, 2 of them came together, and they produced a mobile hand wash machine that the automated one that will soap, do this, do everything. You just have to press the pedal and all that. And
you just need to look for a problem and think of a solution.
And they solved that problem. And I took them. We went to the Lagos State government. We went there together to show it to the ministry and say, this is what those young ones have produced. We took them to Abuja and also presented it there. It's being used at our engineering center in Abuja now. It's being used at some stations, and they're young people. And so later they modified and they came up with other proposals. They're entrepreneurs. They are producing. So entrepreneurship is one of them. I have a lady that is in Abuja now that she's servicing cars. She has an automobile shop. So for engineers is one of the easy ways of
so you must have the hands-on experience.
You must have the hands-on experience. That's why you must concentrate in school for you to be able to get the experiences and for you to be able to apply them.
And then when it comes to IT, a lot of people, when it comes to IT, just pick anywhere. They don't look for the place where they would gain experience. The parents just sit down and say, junior. What is the importance of getting the good place to do your internship and all of those placements that they do during the course of the study in the university? What's the importance of the place where you do those things to your outcome?
it's a very key aspect of the program, and a lot of people assume that the IT of the 300 level and the 400 level is they just ask us to go and do IT. It is very, very vital to your education because engineering is about practicals. You do the limited practicals in the school, but there you see exact productivity of what you are learning in school, and so it's very, very vital aspect of their training. But like I advise a lot of them, they keep saying, hey, we couldn't get a place, we couldn't. I said, see, the person working on generator beside your house, do you know how to dismantle the generator and put it back? Nice whatever the artisan beside your house that is repairing generator is doing, for you that have a degree, you are going to do it better, and you can have a place of your own. You know, I see a lot of lawyers, a lot of well-educated people going into fashion designing, and you see them, they speak a lot of English. The person that sells my list for me, she speaks a lot of English, she's a lawyer, but she sells my clothes for me, and I buy them because I feel I like the presentation, I like the way she talks.
Packaging.
The packaging.
You know, let's say it the way it is.
When she even gives it to you, will make you want to buy.
So I think
the education.
She's a lawyer.
She's a lawyer.
I think I know the person.
Don't let, she hasn't paid for the advert, so
we're not making advert for her. But you know, I only know one lawyer who sells clothes to a lot of people like that, and I'm like, the way she does it, she says, I don't sell to just ordinary people.
You see, I think it's just okay, you know, when most of our girls, I realized from my daughter, I realized that a lot, like she also said that she desired to be an engineer right from while she was a girl. Made me remember that my daughter in her primary school days would say, Mom, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a doctor. But I just took it as in children, stuff and all, yes, and all that. He said, when at our final year in secondary school, she said to me, I want to be a doctor because I want to take care of my grandma. My grandma is always falling sick. I want to take care of her. When she now got to secondary school, she just came home one day and said to me, Mom, I love babies. Yes, I want to be a doctor. I'm going to be a gynae. So you see, like from being a baby, she had already known what she
have an idea
of what she wanted to do.
Imagine that you now tell her that no, doctors don't have time for families.
Exactly. I think there's a place of parental encouragement,
and that's where I want you to speak to parents this morning, just as we begin to round off the conversation. Speak to parents. How do they identify those things? And when they do identify the signs, what should they do?
Yeah. For parents, I would like to say that if your child wants to study engineering or sciences, I say big congratulations to you already, because your child is going to make a difference in his or in our generation. But for parents, the moment your child wants to study engineering or sciences and begins to say things in the area of sciences, one of the things that you actually need to do is to not buy baby toys for that person, begin to buy things. There are a lot of Legos that are very educational. I had a program for some young children not very long ago, where sophisticated Legos that will actually, by the time you read the manual and put them together, the light bulb will come on. It shows you how electrification is done and things like that. So you can begin to buy educational things that will go in that line. Not necessarily, things that you feel that girls like. You can begin to buy things that will teach them. They can play with them, and it will also help them to grow their knowledge very well in terms of, sciences. And then the other thing is instill confidence in that child, that you can be anything you want to be. You need to instill that confidence. You need to encourage that child. You need to innovate. Whatever idea your child is coming up with, you need to encourage that child and also go along with that child. And that's why it's very important and very key that in the homework of your children, that you are involved in them. Don't allow them to say, go and do your homework, Jerry. When you encourage them, that means you are taking the journey with your child. And so the child knows that, my mom, my dad, they are going on this journey with me, and they encourage me, they love me. The confidence that you have put in that child will extrude to other people outside of the house. Because when they are outside, they have confidence in themselves, because you have already instilled that confidence. At some point in my house, when we are holding a family conference, we do presentation. We allow our children to do presentation once in a while, especially when they are told. Most of them are out now. They are in the universities. But when they are at home, we give them topics, and on Sunday after church in the evening, we have a projector in the house, put on the projector, they wear their suit, we say, oh yeah, present. So we want to see how you can
Amazing.
present. So just for them to be able to encourage
she married an
themselves.
Amazing man, right?
My husband is a telecoms engineer, and so we just try to be able to manage and also encourage them to do whatever they want to do. Not what we want, but what they want to do themselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Engineer Fumi Akingbagbo. You married an amazing man, right? It shows, like. How do you close this morning?
I'm just loving. It's like she shouldn't just stop. Yes,
oh my.
Yes, it's really good to have you this morning. It's been pleasant listening to you, and I'm sure that viewers also learned so much this morning. I'm going to close this way just to say to every girl out there, you cannot be limited because of your gender. Pursue your dreams, and definitely someday you get there. I'm Kaken.
All right, I want to say a big thank you to our guests this morning, our special guest of honor. Every time I listen to her, I was telling her this morning, I've been listening to her for like 3 years, and maybe she really didn't know, but every time I listen to her, she always impacts her lives, and that was why she was my first choice when I thought about this topic all the way from last week. Thank you so much for giving us your time, much more than I promised, but you gave us much more time. Brings me to how I close this morning. You said something about children being smart. An Uber driver picked up my son yesterday and dropped him in less than 5 minutes, and he sent me a text message simply saying, my 5-year-old son said, I enjoyed having your son in my car today. He's so smart. Thank you, ma. And I was blown away. 5-year-old. I had to call him. I'm like, what did you say to the man? He's a 5-year-old. But means that everything you do to your children, just expect them to exude it outside. It shows. And that's why that advice that Engineer Fumi gave is very important. Prepare them from home. They will definitely represent you outside. My name is Tomi Suja. See you again tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.